We are live with the guru.
Okay, welcome to Mtn Top Chats. I am so excited about today. I've got a stack of news that I don't think, Carol, I think I'll ever get to all of it. The news keeps growing and growing and growing. And we have a war update going on, a love letter update going on. There are so many just updates, not to mention the zombie update of the zombie foreclosures that are out there. And I keep wishing that I was the one that came up with the zombie foreclosure news update concept, but I didn't coin the phrase, but I'm certainly using it. The zombie home update. We'll be talking about that later today. And right out of the gate, I want to talk about the home sales. So the February numbers are, it's funny how it takes, the industry like a month later to get the final numbers in. It's just crazy that way. But looking at month over month for February, so February versus February, home sales are down. And it's not down just by a touch. It's down by 4.1% on month over month. Now, that is significant news to start thinking about. When the home sales being down 4.1%. Now, this is during a period of time you're always expecting things to be going up. We're in a seller's market. It's hot. Last year, we were saying we're short of inventory, and how could we ever be shorter? And now we have historic low inventory hitting us like never before. Of course, it's historically low. That's how it's never before. And that is just insane to start thinking about that we're 4.1% even lower. Now, there are some people in the industry that believe that there are a lot of buyers that have simply given up because they have gotten fails on so many offers that are out. Now, I don't personally buy into that. As your real estate guru, I don't buy into that. I don't think that people give up as easy as people think. Nevertheless, we have it pushing down. I personally believe, now this is only coming from your guru here, that my personal belief is that we have a shortage of inventory that is partially due. And when I say partially, it's a significant partial, in my estimation, that is due to people that want to sell their home but do not believe they can find a replacement home easy enough, so they are holding off, hoping that this market simply opens up. We'll see as the news continues and what's going on with the news that way. It's really difficult to tell this early on as to what's happening with the inventories, but we are short of inventory like never before. Okay, moving on to some other quick announcements here. We've got a guest today that I'm so excited for. We'll probably go to our guest early, but I'm so excited about our guest coming. Let me make a couple of announcements first. The NAR, National Association of Realtors, we have the legislative summit going on. And yeah, a lot of you are not interested in the legislative summit, sure. But if you're into real estate, you'll want to pay attention to the legislative summit. That it's a biannual thing, or every other year. Do you call that biannual here? Is it every other year? I always get it mixed up a little bit. Anyway, it's in D.C. Well, it's Maryland, technically. It's across the Potomac River from D.C. They're calling it their D.C. event because it needs to be in D.C. because it's the federal legislative event, and that is May 1st. And May 1st, 2nd, 3rd, that area. Uh-oh, I have hit something here. Technology failure for sure.
Oh no.
Yeah, one moment here while I recalibrate my stuff. All right, I'm back. There's never a good show without a technology failure of some point. Whether you're with us on our live 7:30 a.m. 5 days a week, we go live. We talk about building your business bigger than ever imagined before. Anyway, so there's always some kind of technology problem when it comes to this stuff. So it also, the NAR has they are going to go live again this year. Now we're out of the COVID-19 problem that has stopped us in the past, and we are going to the Broker Summit. Now, well, I'm not going to, but the Broker Summit is going live face to face again now this year. I'm so excited to see things go live again. It's just so much more exciting. Real estate is done best, I believe, when you can do it with a person face to face. I really believe that it is, because the passion of it, the fact that it is the largest investment in your life is so meaningful. Anyway, the NAR Broker Summit, where they talk about what's happening with the brokerages, what's going on nationally, and what about the Zillow failure? That's going to be a big topic this year, no question about it. And that is happening in Phoenix, Arizona, coming up shortly on April 5th and 6th. So if you're looking for something to go to, but here's the hot one. One more announcement here. Here's the hot one. I went to it a couple years ago. I believe it was 2 years ago, the IOI, Karen.
Yes.
And that's the Innovative Summit, or what they call the IOI show, the Innovative Show. It was in Seattle a couple years ago. Well, if you're going to go somewhere, this is the show to hit. It's going to be in Los Angeles this year, and you've got some time to think about this. This doesn't come up until September 28th, 29th. And I will tell you, September is a tough month for us. It seems like the whole world packs things in real estate of conferences and things to go to. It all comes around in September. And I don't know what industry you might be in, but if your industry packs things like ours does around September, it's always hard to put something else in. But if you have an opportunity to hit an exciting show, go to the IOI show, or the IOI Summit in Los Angeles. You can find the details of this on nar.realtor. That's nar.realtor, and click on the news tab. That's nar.realtor. Maybe Karen can make a banner for us. It's nar.realtor. And click on the news tab. The news tab will also show you the coming events. And the IOI Summit is coming up in Los Angeles. Just crazy exciting. When we went, we learned so many things. That's when Curbio was launched. And Curbio is that company that says, we'll come in with an agreement. You sell it as a realtor. We'll come in, and the home needs a bunch of repairs. We'll come in and fix it, and we won't charge the people anything for fixing the house. We'll get our money on the sale. So they do it all on the hope that the house will sell. And there's more details, but you can look up Curbio, and I believe that is simply Curbio, isn't it, Karen?
Yeah.
And Curbio, an exciting company, and they had launched prior to that, but that was kind of their official launch, really going out to the public. And that was at that event, and watching them on stage and explaining this process. And now they've went national in most markets, and really an exciting product. Quickly, I mentioned this last time. It looks like the pre-numbers are already hedging this direction. So as of February was the 120th month of consistent home equity growth. The longest standing home equity growth in U.S. history. That is incredible. And the pre-numbers are already looking like this is going to be the 121st. Now, I've told you before, it is your guru's prediction that this will not stop this year. I'm not making any predictions for next year yet, but I don't believe that this rhythm will. I believe we're going to get this up to about the 130th at least month. We'll see what happens. I don't think I believe it's going to slow. But I don't think that our equity growth is anywhere near the end. And that is absolutely huge. Now, I'm so excited to get over to our guest. Our guest is Patty Waters, mortgage lender, professional extraordinaire. I personally know Patty. I respect her so much in the industry. She is going to share with us a bunch of information about lending products, and we're going to get to know Patty even more right after this.
So, Rod, how can a cup of coffee improve my career in real estate?
Well, one cup of coffee is how we start our mornings, and it's not a stranger in real estate. We have coffee with our clients all the time. Even bigger than that, we can sit down with one cup of coffee, talk about your goals, make your business bigger, and push you to heights that you can't even believe.
That's right. And I'll tell you, working for Rod and I, you can be pushed because he's a workhorse.
I love real estate, and I want to share my passion with building your career in real estate as soon as we can pour the next cup of coffee.
So how about a cup of coffee with us?
I look forward to having a cup of coffee with you and having a discussion of a career change as soon as possible.
Thank you. Join us here to meet Patty with Rod.
Hey, Patty, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Rod. I always love chatting with you. As you know, I think our lunch meetings and anytime we have coffee, it could be 2 to 3 hours if we let it.
You are absolutely a ball of fire and a ball of fun and information. And I want to learn as much about you today as possible. And I know you've been in the lending industry for a long time, but can we start? I'm going to ask a question of you I've never asked before. So let me know if I'm going too far, Patty. What did you do before lending?
Oh my gosh. So, well, way before, I'm a Washington State graduate, so go Cougs. But after that, kind of trying to decide what I wanted to do, I ended up in the restaurant business. So I was in the restaurant business. Everyone probably is pretty familiar with the name Salty's on the Columbia.
Oh yeah, Salty's.
Salty's. I started actually with the Salty's in Seattle right out of college.
Yes.
And I did everything from parking cars, hospitality, cocktail server, lunch server. And then I moved up into sales, which is kind of where I started getting my foothold in sales. I started working with the concierge with all the high-end hotels and being part of their guild and driving business to our restaurants. So that's kind of where I got, besides restaurants, just pure sales if you do it right?
Wow. I didn't realize that you were up in the Seattle area doing that. I'm an Everett, North Seattle kid.
Oh, wow. Okay. So Salty's on Alki. I'm sure you're super familiar.
Very familiar. Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
How I ended up at the Columbia is growing with that company. I was able to get a management promotion and I moved down to Oregon to become a manager at the Salty's on Columbia. So that was the last job I had before I jumped into this crazy world called mortgages.
Oh, funny.
That was back in 1998 when I made the transition.
What made you want to get into lending and mortgages in the complicated world?
I have to admit, it was kind of almost by mistake. I answered this ad that sounded amazing. It was like, do you want to control your life and run your own schedule and almost be like your own boss? And it never even said this is for a mortgage originating position, but all the flowery words made me just go, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Wow. So I went on the interview and found out it was to be a mortgage loan officer. I had never even owned a home at that point by myself.
Oh my goodness.
I was so enamored with the company. It was a small company that's no longer in business, but they gave me my first break. I'd actually, after that, interviewed at a few other places because mortgages just sounded so fascinating and just, sales. And there was a company that I went when I thought, well, I'm going to go interview a couple other companies, and no one else would give me a shot, but this one little small mom and pop shop. Yeah. And ended up becoming one of their top producers, and it just kind of flourished from there. They actually, a couple of the owners recruited me to move to Indiana So I started in 98, and in 1999, so 1 year later, they're like, we want you, because they just knew my energy and my passion for everything they
Yeah.
were teaching me. And I moved to Indiana to help them open up a business, and actually
Wow.
lived out there. Never lived anywhere else but the Northwest.
And this is
And
before you were married.
yeah, so before I was married, and moved out there, helped them start their business, which really helped me learn so much of the nuts and bolts of the industry. And, when you move, it was kind of the necessity of, when you don't know anyone and you don't know the area and you have nothing better to do, what do? You work. So I just did a deep dive into mortgages and learning the business, and it took off from there. And I've loved it ever since.
Wow.
While I was in Indiana working in retail directly with realtors and buyers, a wholesale company, we were a broker, and we sold our mortgages to a company that is no longer around. It was bought years ago by a bigger bank. But at that time, I went into wholesale. So then I was calling on loan officers all over Kentucky, Indiana, West Virginia.
No way.
Yeah, it was a national company. We did hundreds of millions of dollars in business every month. It was crazy. So all of a sudden now I'm calling on peers, which gives you another insight into this.
Yes.
All your competition, you always wonder what they're doing. And now I get to see and go, hey, like sometimes the grass was maybe greener on the other side. Other times I was like, wow, they're really falling short. So I could see all the different levels of service and knowledge, and, you could, really get a feel for who those great people in the industry were, and powerhouse.
Patty, I always tell people this is a relationship business, more than probably any other business that I'm aware of. When you were transitioning from wholesale to, I guess you call it retail now, was it as much a relationship business on the other side?
It was, honestly, it was for me too. Because before, when I was working with my wholesale agents, it was those people that would call me back, that I didn't have to wait on hold for an hour or 2 hours, or never even got a response. It was those people that taught me their system so that my loans would go smoothly, because I'm not going to get more referrals if everything is clunky and falling apart, So
Yeah.
being able to be on both sides of the industry, buying loans, wholesale versus selling directly to the consumer, I've been able to see a lot in the service and how it plays a fact of your relationships are everything. A bad
I completely agree.
transaction.
It's really. I'm going to tell a quick story about you, Patty, and then I want to get into where the market's going and
Okay.
ARMs and all that stuff. When early on when we had first met, we may have done a deal already. I don't remember, but this is early on. You had helped us with a VA loan, and the person had come out of North Dakota and been involved in the fracking industry. And I believe the person had something like, we're not using names, of course, but they had something like 26 jobs in 24 months.
Yes.
And you were able to stack these positions together because it was all in electrical.
Yes.
And use them as one. And they bought a house, and it was like a $500,000 house.
Yes, it was one of those loans where it was really challenging. And we had conversations. I had conversations with this client, and he was like, why aren't lenders calling me back? Why, I was probably the third person he talked to at least.
Yeah.
And I said, because your
least.
loan is hard. Your loan is really challenging. It's VA, and you've had multiple jobs because you're not part of a union in one big company. You're changing companies. Some jobs only lasted a week, and trying to figure out how to average your income is very difficult. And getting some of those companies, we had to really just chase them down multiple times, like almost to the point of yelling at them saying, we need this. But they didn't want to fill out our verifications of employment because he'd only been there a week. They're like, what does it matter? I'm like, well, it does matter. And if it matters on this loan, we're trying to put it together. And there was, other challenges and stuff. So we had to put that together. It took some time. But I will tell you, when I got to call them and say, you're approved, your loan is approved, there should be no reason we're not closing now and giving them
tears.
Oh my God, they were in tears. I started crying. It was like one of those things like, I can't believe I just verified like almost 20. Who has 20 jobs in 2 years?
Exactly. Who has that? And I remember when the person came to us, we had went to a couple other lenders. They had went to people before us.
Yeah.
And I said, well, we'll help you shop around because I didn't know what to do. And you took, and this is what I'm talking about when I talk to other realtors, finding gems in the market. Patty, I know you're humble. I'm going to call it out. You're a gem in the market. You're amazing. You put together over 20 jobs in a
It was
24-hour
hard.
period, and they bought this amazing house.
You know, and the thing that you have to be really upfront with is communication's key. Talking about service, it's communication to your clients. And what I told them is I will work as hard for you as you work, you know, for me. And help yourself. You have to help yourself. If I ask you for something, I need it quickly so that I can keep this momentum going. And I'm going to ask you for a lot of stuff and maybe repeatedly. And you're going to have to dig deep for paperwork that you may not have kept having all these different jobs. But I can't help you if you don't help me do that part of the job that I need to do. And they understood that. And, you know, when they would get frustrated, I said, believe me, it's just as frustrating for me when I just know that we're getting that much closer. So we're almost there. Keep going. Don't give up.
It's amazing. And to be able to share that kind of a story, it is impactful for people. It truly is. But I want to move over to there's so much more, Patty. We could spend a couple hours talking about the past, but I want to talk about where we're at today, because if I understand it right, interest rates happen to be moving.
They're moving. So to about rates, so the stocks and bonds are both up. So actually the bond started a little bit below our most recent floor, but it gained very, quickly. So we're above, which is really good. So right now stocks are going up. So they're recommending cautiously floating. So we're hoping that there's still room for more gains, and we hope we see that. But it's also going to be one of those crazy weeks because the jobs reports are coming out, which always, things are improving in terms of, the stocks and bonds, which the 10-year and the 2-year are kind of what help drive our rates. But it also, right now with the predictors, there's potentially improvement in the jobs creations from the ADP and the BLSL jobs reports, or BLS. Yeah. Jobs reports. So, and unemployment with a very small, not huge, significant decline, but it was like a 0.1% decline. So it still sounds good when you say that.
Do you think this is knocking some buyers out of the market?
I do. So rates, as you know, have significantly from last year to where we are now, where rates were just below 3, are now pushing mid 4s and up to closer to 5, depending on credit score and what type of loan people are, buying. So, I mean, that's a big swing in a pretty short time historically, because it's over a point.
Wow.
So that has people that were, with prices, like, as you said, with the housing shortage has driven our prices up, and we've seen, and I loved that 120 months of increased equity, which also means increased prices. So prices are going up, rates are going up. So, those buyers, particularly first-time buyers or even first home move-ups, those lower rates were really helping them stay within a payment that they can afford, but also keeping, increasing what they could qualify for. So now to stay at that same payment that they're comfortable affording, they're going to have to lower their sales price, which in this market is just almost impossible. You almost need to be increasing.
Right. Both. I mean, I will tell you from the realtor side of this, I don't see any need yet for, even though we're seeing a little bit of a softening, I don't see a need for sellers to lower their price yet because the buyers have been stacked up.
Yeah. So there was some things that I was looking for some stats and stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to have this call and to talk about, I am in 100% agreement with you, talking about the 120 days of increased equity. Right now they're predicting, when you said a shortage, Freddie Mac came out and said that right now they consider that nationally we have over just around 4 million in an inventory shortage. 4 million homes, whether that be single family,
Let me see.
condo.
I want to make sure I want to make sure I understand, because big numbers are hard to consume sometimes.
Yes.
So Freddie Mac is declaring that nationally we have a 4 million single family home shortage.
We're right around there. And what that means is, to put it into perspective, is that builders, it's not just about building 4 million new homes.
No.
They say there's still constantly an increase in households. So there's more and more households as our country's growing and everything else. So that number is not declining. It's not like, oh, build 4 million homes and we're fine, then the shortage is over. That's not what we can do, because new houses are always being created, needing of buying a home. Plus, there's natural disasters where homes need rebuilt. So, when we have those, hurricanes or everything. So just building new homes isn't the problem. And on average, nationally, builders build around 2 million a year. So just building new homes is not.
Well, I did not know that number. That's an interesting number to me.
So yeah, so if we're only building on average year over year around 2 million new homes, and Freddie Mac considers right now we're running around a 4 million shortage, the foreseeable future is, unless, like you said, sellers can get some confidence that they can find something to buy and increase the existing inventory. I agree with you. I don't see the equity position slowing over the next year. I hate to predict into 2023 or anything else, but I agree with you 100%, because when you look at those numbers nationally and even locally, I was looking at appreciations regionally. The West Coast regions average appreciation last year was over like 20.1%.
Wow.
For Freddie Mac. Yeah. Other areas are even higher. Actually, the Midwest, like everyone seems to be moving to Montana and Idaho, like we hear, their area is around 23. So, but again, it's until we can get that existing inventory up, and new builders can't keep up with the volume anyway. So they have no worries in terms of, them slowing down. And it's a matter of finding new land to build on quick enough.
So Patty, with all these changes going on, do you have any new products or products you recommend for buyers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think with, like, we were talking about, buyers struggling, like maybe falling out of the market or not qualifying, or just a payment that they could be comfortable with. Some of the things that we're looking at now, which we haven't talked for years, because especially after, we heard about, remember, if you've been in the industry as long as us, the explosion of 2008, 9, 11, that little 5-year span of trying to recover or get back our legs underneath us, everything kind of switched to 30-year fixed, don't do anything but a fixed year. Everything else is almost evil, right?
Right.
So, but now with that quick increase, I mean, from people, our customers are really having a hard time stomaching the fact when they're hearing what the rates are today, not sure if I don't know if they want to believe it. It's like, is it shock?
Which is funny. I bought my first home at like 11 and a half.
Right. I know. Mine was 8 1/4, it was 8 1/4, and I did my own loan. Hey. So my company was like, oh, just give yourself the best rate you can, not making any money up when you could do that back in 2000.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was kind of funny. It was like, I was 8 1/4. I gave myself my best possible rate. And if you said that rate, it would be crazy. But even saying 5 or 4.5, people are like, really? Almost like not sure they believe you. It's like, no, that's really where rates have gone.
I was 11 and a half, and I made money on that house, Patty.
Yeah. People still buying is still always the better opportunity. You're building equity. You're always building equity. Where else can you do that? And it's something that you live in. I mean, no matter what the rate is, buying a home and owning real estate is always a good investment. I don't know what the percentage is, but most of the time, because you have to live somewhere, right?
Right.
So we've been hearing more and more, and as lenders, what I've started looking at, and I haven't done in years, is comparing ARMs to fixed rates. Like the word ARM, adjustable rate mortgages, back out there to be possibly considered with the rates going up. And this is a great, like I did a comparison today, just comparing as apples to apples, worst case on a 5-year ARM at let's say 4.75 as a rate on a fixed versus 4.25. So let's just say 0.5% better rate.
Yeah.
That 5-year ARM is a better loan up to 7 years, even with the worst case for indexes, with, if the feds raise things up, over 5.75, even with all those like historically worst case above historical worst cases, it's still a better loan for the first 7 years. So looking at that and talking to customers like, is this a forever home? Then maybe we don't talk about ARMs. Is this not a forever home? Or do we also look at it with the fact with rates going up and with this inevitable, the inflation and they track so many different things, but with inflation, there is already talk. I was listening to the news today about recession or a slowing of the economy because the cost of goods, people are starting to rethink, right, of what they're doing in their lives.
Patty, for people though that are 25, 28 years old now, I would predict that this ARM conversation is a brand new conversation for them.
It is.
And we had low rates for so long, their entire adulthood to this point, they haven't had to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone that's not on a home, I would say up to even mid-30s, if you've never owned a home before, all they've heard is historically low rates. They've never, and hearing that, it's almost like, your dad saying, I walked 2 miles uphill both ways to school. When were rates ever over 5%, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it happens. So it's definitely a great conversation for first-time buyers, young people.
Let's break it down a little though, Patty. You said that if you're going to have something for the first 7 years, the ARM is better. So give me a couple nuggets. Why is the ARM better the first 7 years?
So for one, your payment is going to be where, especially a payment with prices going up and rates going up, is now putting them out of their comfort zone of what they're comfortable with paying right now. Assuming that hopefully they get promotions, especially with young people moving into their industries, advancing in their industries. It's what they're comfortable with right now and being able to be in a price range that's hopefully going to open up more opportunities to potential homes to buy. Versus
even though it's called adjustable, at least historically, but I'll ask you, there are limits as to the bank just can't go crazy. The bank can't make this a 40% loan.
So on an adjustable rate mortgage, it's fixed for the first 5 years or 7 years. There's also shorter terms where right now the 5 year seems to be probably one of the best because even with adjustments after that 5th year, it's still better than comparing it to a 7-year rate that maybe is a little bit closer to the 30-year fix. So it's got a higher rate. It's like the benefits right now seem to be 5-year fixed rate ARM. And then after that, it is capped what it can adjust each year. So it's not going to, adjust typically or historically above what hopefully in those 5 years your income's increase.
And the average home ownership is still right around the 7-year mark.
Yes, it is. And, there are predictions right now that probably heading into 2023, if things start to slow, especially with inflation and cost of goods, foods, and services, people tightening up their ship a bit. So we'll see possibly a recession. And historically, that means rates drop. So if you can take advantage of a low rate or a lower payment end rate right now, save money and interest, there is probably a really good chance in the next 7 years, if you plan on staying longer, then you can refinance that into a fixed rate.
And can you just, is there an option to lock it?
Once you're in adjustable, it's an adjustable until you refinance out of it.
Okay.
So there are some in the past, and like I said, I'm just starting to get back into even considering ARMs with rates going up and how this affects young people, and trying to retool my brain, because you haven't had to talk about an ARM in
I haven't thought about
years.
ARMs for 10 years.
I know. So now it's like, hey, this is a good conversation for young people, and young people getting into their prospective, jobs and advancement. It's like, hey, this could be a great opportunity. Like you said, average home is still, with that,
Yeah.
and with prices going up. And I agree with you. I don't see that changing, especially with the lack of inventory and the fact we can't just build enough homes to share that up anytime.
It's crazy. So, Patty, if someone wants to have a deeper conversation on a one-on-one with you, how do they do it?
The best way for me, I love to chat with people on the phone. So either calling me, because everyone's needs are different,
Yeah.
whether they're looking for a short-term option, a long-term option, whether they've had some challenges in the past, whether it be credit or just getting out of school and student loans are coming out of deferment, or, anything else. A conversation is so imperative, because apples to apples, even if you have a conventional loan and I have a conventional loan, our information is different. Everyone's needs
different.
are different of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So,
And I think Karen put your contact information in the bar below.
yes, that looks great.
Awesome.
That is my cell
Awesome.
phone.
So people can reach out to. What I love is, Patty, they can talk to you. You're not a robot. You're actually a person that,
Yeah.
and you're the one that does the loan.
Yes. So myself and then my team, I have an amazing team. The really cool thing about, I think one of the coolest things, and why I moved to Hometown Lenders, is because we're all here locally. A bunch of us moved all together like a herd of cows. We went to Hometown Lenders and we just all moved because we are herd mentality. We want to all work together. Our team, everything from our processors, our underwriters, our funders, our doctors, everyone here is local. We have all worked for, over the years, I've worked for big, massive companies that everyone knows the names of. And I'm just a number. I'm just another number. And whether I'm sending my loans to Texas or California or the Midwest, I'm just a number to them. What I love about Hometown Lenders is management, support staff, sales,
All right here.
everything is all here. My funders, my underwriters.
I tell you, Patty, I gotta be clear though. I did not call your colleagues cows. That was not me calling.
I know. I was saying, well, we moved like a herd. Like we all love working together. So it wasn't just me moving to a company that I did some research on. It was like, oh gosh, we're more than 20 of us moved all at the same time, just so that we could keep our group together and stay locally. Because my previous company, we had underwriters in our office, but they underwrote for other regions. So it's nice to be able to actually know the person that's working on your loan, be able to have an actual conversation with them on how do we make this work. We all want to make loans work if we can, and they're so responsive. Well,
what I like, Patty, is you're not overseas. You're right here in the local market. In fact, you have a family, and your family's right here.
Yes. So I have my husband, Steve, and we are getting in May. It'll be our 15th wedding anniversary. So,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I can't believe it's already been 15 years. I always have to.
Wow.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Thank you. My son, James, is 14 and very active in baseball and soccer, loves playing golf. Hey, tip for families with kids that like to golf, go to youthonsports.org, or it's golf youth on sports. Most of the local courses, and this is a national thing, but you can go to most of like Glendevere, Coalwood, all those golf courses, and he can play a round of golf for $5.
What?
Yes, Monday through Friday. So this is going to be great in the summer. I'm just going to drop him off at the golf course.
Am I allowed to be a Ute, Karen?
I know. He's been getting in a lot of golf. Yeah. So he golfs at most of the public courses in Washington and Oregon, all accept it. But he can play any of those courses for $5.
That's incredible.
Friday. Yeah. So it's a great organization. They want to get young golfers into it at a very young age. And so I forget, a friend of mine told me about it who got his kids into it. And he goes, yeah, I used to golf all the time with my son because it only costs $5 to take him along with me, you know?
And Patty, when someone calls you, they can ask about your animals. I know you're a pet lover.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, and I should mention, I do have a daughter too who's 10. And
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to cut your daughter off.
Yep. So Abby, I was like, I don't want her to feel like she's not getting any screen time. But yeah, so both kids are really into sports and stuff. But yes, we love animals. I grew up showing horses and cows at both fairs. So
I did not know you grew up showing horses.
Hey, I'm gonna one fun fact. And I get teased about it actually.
Yeah.
Is I was actually the Washington State Polled Hereford Queen my senior year in high school.
Wait. What was it called?
Polled Hereford, which is, those cows that are brown with white faces. Those are
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Polled means not horned.
We've got to get a picture that we can put up on the show.
Yeah. So yeah, I used to wear a cowboy hat with a tiara on it and a leather sash that said Washington, and I'd hand out ribbons at fair. So way back. I don't have cows anymore or horses, but I do have cats and dogs. So
you are absolutely the funnest person to connect with. You know your industry so well. You have saved our bacon with so many clients. And you've helped our agents that work for us. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I look forward to the next time you're on the show with us.
I can't wait to be invited back. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Patty. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Wow. I'm learning so much more about Patty. That's amazing. And please take a time and note her number and give her a call. If you have lending needs, she will fight for you like you can't even believe. Hey, I want to move on to another update here. We have our war update, and the war update will be coming up right after this break.
So, Rod, what does it mean? 7 minutes to a new career.
Well, in 7 minutes, we can have a cup of coffee, we can talk career goals, and how we're going to help you make the biggest career move in your life.
That's right. There's a lot of things that Mountain Hood Realty has to offer, and Rod is a ball of energy.
I love the career, and I want to share with you my passion for building your business bigger than you ever thought it could be.
Come spend 7 minutes with us. We look forward to it.
Talk to you soon.
So Rod is back with the guru and supply chain.
As if I'm two different people there. Karen hasn't been feeling so well lately. So sorry about that, Karen, calling her out there. Anyway, so the war update. We have continued supply chain problems. Now, we already have a problem with inventory. And you just heard Patty going over some of these problems and her predictions, and I'm right there with her on this. But it is a continued problem that the supply chain, we get a lot of parts for building homes from Europe, a lot. And the shipping lanes have been halted. Not completely. They're going around other methods, but it's slower getting here. And this is causing yet another problem in the building of new homes. Excuse me. So on top of this, let's talk about the war and the ruble, of course, being discounted nearly entirely at this point. What's happening with the Russian home sales and money being imported over here to make that happen? Well, it's not as big of a problem as one may initially think, even though we have a solid Russian financial system coming this direction. It's not that big. Overall, total home sales are in the United States annually to that one segment is 0.04%. In decimal terms, that's 0.0004. But that's over in percentage, that's a 0.04. And the largest market of it, though, is Florida. But even in Florida, it is a tiny fraction of a 1%. So small, small, small. But nevertheless, it is an impact going on and something that we must take note of. Okay, moving on from the more update. The White House update. Something that's been worked on with the NAR, National Association of Realtors, for quite some time now, and finally negotiated out. You know, when it comes to appraisals, now this is coming from the lending side, appraisals have not been fully protected under fair housing. Now that actually surprised me when I started to learn this some time ago. Because appraisals is part of housing, obviously, the purchase, but the appraisal process has not been protected under fair housing. Now there is a signed bill from the White House protecting this part to come in. And I don't know what the timeline is if this is being inbounded into the process of fair housing, but the bill is being signed. There have been many over the years appraisal biases to areas that homes are in, and a whole variety of things that have impacted many, many groups of people, which is amazing that in 2022, we're still talking about biases in lending processes. Now, that's not to say, though, that in particular lenders, the companies themselves have had rules against these biases. It's that the federal government did not have a rule bringing the appraisal process under the same umbrella of fair housing. That is brand new news we're talking. I doubt that it's been fully imported into code yet, but it's brand new, coming right out of the White House, and that is cutting edge. We'll see exactly where this is going to go. I would predict, though, for a lot of companies, no change, because it simply doesn't result in anything special to them because they already had that protected. But to some other companies that didn't honor that kind of protection, that's where some of those biases came from. And that's unfortunate. I'm glad that we are putting it to rest. All right, now let's go over to some news for the fun. You know, we always have to lighten the coming out of the war news, White House news, now some news for simply the fun of it. Have you ever thought about owning an island? Karen, have you thought about how often have you wanted to own an island, Karen?
Oh, when I wanted peace and quiet from the rest of the family.
Not your husband. Not the guru. Surely. I can imagine people even wanting some privacy from the guru himself. I can imagine. Well, you know, owning a private island is not an anomaly. It's not as individualized, or that wrong term there. It's not as a small event as what you might think. It happens all the time. There are thousands of islands on the planet. They are all over the place, and there are lots of them that are for sale. So I've got a couple here to share with you. There is a Panamanian island for sale right now. It's 9 acres, $150,000. It's uninhabited at this point. There is a dock on it and a place you could build a home, even though, according to local code that I've read, that you can move that building site around the island at different spots. I'm not saying you can have multiple. I don't know what their code is for that, but you could own a Panamanian island and have your own solitude.
Let me tell you, my experience with Panama is it has one of the most deadly snakes in the world and plenty of alligators.
Well, there are, okay, the snakes is alligators. There are a few problems on them to have on the island that we may not want to completely rebuild, but it is only $150,000. Now, sure, you're probably going to have to go in and separate yourself from some of the snakes, but you can own your own island, your own piece of paradise. Not difficult to find these things, by the way, if you simply Google islands for sale.
Don't forget the lack of power.
There is no power to the island currently. That doesn't mean you couldn't have a power supply. Let's move over to another island that maybe Karen doesn't have as many problems with. This particular island is $350,000. So we're going up in price.
Well,
This
what
one
is
is
the location?
This one is in Belize.
Uh-huh.
And maybe Belize is a lot better. I don't know.
You pay more, maybe they have less snakes.
Now, this is only a 1/4 acre island that has not been known in recent history to sink. Now, that's what the article said. It hasn't been known in recent history to sink. It's only a 1/4 acre. So, by the way, there's some islands up in the northeast corner of the state of Washington called the San Juan Islands. There's 170 some islands up there. Only about 8 of them are large enough for lots of people to live on. Some of these are pebbles. Some of them have one house that covers the whole pebble. A lot of them sink when the tide rolls in on a regular basis, and some of them sink occasionally.
Is that really called sinking?
I don't know what it's called.
I think it's called water rising.
Water rising. I see Karen has decided to be a water expert now in her rising water, the rising tides. I love to look at islands for sale. Maybe someday your guru will be put on an island, not banished, but put on an island just for the solitude of being on the island. Karen didn't even know this part of the show was coming up today about islands, so I'm surprised she's so deep into it now. But the 1/4 acre island in Belize has not been known in recent history to sink, and it's a 1/4 acre, which is good size island. It does have a dock on it, and it has a cleared off spot to build a home. No home currently on it. I don't know anything about the snakes. I don't know anything about the gators or what else may be on this island. So things for you to be looking for sure. But you can Google. I'm not going to post one of the sites out there. You can easily Google for islands that are for sale and have so much fun with it. I enjoy it. By the way, take a minute and hit the like. If you are enjoying our interviews and some of our other real estate facts that we bring up here on the show, I would love it if you would like the show. Now, depending on where you are watching the show across social media, follow us on social media. And if you're in YouTube, or go over to YouTube to watch it, and Karen, you can put up the link to the YouTube site because it's simulcast in multiple different social medias. In YouTube, you can hit the subscribe button, and you will be part of the Guru members only events. And I would love that. Also, send me a comment. Have you ever wanted to own your own island? Have you thought about owning your own? Do you know someone that owns their own island? Not only that, I would love to hear from you about people that you'd like us to interview. We have lined up some great interviews. We're looking at real estate leaders, real estate professionals, and would love to hear from you about who you think would be great people inside this show to be interviewed. Okay. Moving on just a little bit. I'm getting short on time and my stack of stuff is not going away. So I do want to talk about favorite courses and what kind of courses. We talked last time and I left off with the Lark course. And is the Lark course actually doing something for you? Is it valuable? And thank you. So many people made comments on this that try to get back to everybody. Thank you so much for that. Many people saying that, yes, it's valuable. They need to hear the repeated, and others saying the repeated constant flow may not be so valuable to them. So There was a great mixture of that. So thank you for that. I want to talk to you about C2EX. Continue to excellence. That is that program by the NAR. This is a program that I went through, got certified in the C2EX, and I want to encourage you to go and take a look at the C2EX program. It will take you a while to get through this. There's no doubt about it. There are many, 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 many steps to get through the C2EX program. And then every 3 years or so, you have to go and recertify and go deeper. So it's constantly pushing you to take your education and your community involvement to the next step. Now, I would like to hear from you. What do you think about programs like this? They're not part of our license. They're not part of our licensure out there. They're not mandated, but do you think something like this should be? Because programs like C2EX are pushing us, if you're involved in it, and I encourage you to be involved, they are pushing us to be involved in our community. They want you to, in order to be certified, you've got to be involved in the civics of your community to some level. You've got to be involved socially in your community to some level. You have to have went to some local political events. They're not pushing an outcome of how you would think. They want you involved, and they want a variety of people in our industry showing that realtors are involved in these types of events. I think it's so smart. That is so incredible. And going through that and getting certified was engaging, fun, and by the way, I will admit, a lot of work. It was a lot of work. Carrie, do you have any thoughts on the C2EX? Because I know you were certified at it as well.
I know that some people found that very valuable, and it does help you stay abreast to the latest things that are going on in real estate. So it's worth taking a peek at, and if it's not your thing, don't finish, but it's worth taking a look at.
And you can start for free. I don't think there was any cost to it. The cost was your time and actually getting through it. And I personally found a lot of value in it. The interview today with Patty Waters was amazing. If you want to go back, you can find, of course, it'll be on the replay of this on how to contact her. And I look forward to our next interview next week on Tuesday at 11 o'clock. This is your guru. I've got brain fog going on here today. This is Mountain Top Chats with your guru, and I'll see you on this show next week. To do that clocking, I think it's kind of cool.